Anyway, oh, hello, train. Getting back to the point at hand, we're back in here. So, after expediting the clearing process last time, over here is now clean. Everything's been removed. It actually cleared out very quickly once we got all the rubbish out of the way. And I moved the thing over here in between last time and that time so this could start building. So it's been expanding and doing its thing. I also double-checked the size of the builds. Oh dear, excuse me. I double-checked the size of the builds and I cut them back down to 8-ish. I think they generally meet at least 8K plus 10%. But I think in reality, I think I actually typed 8888 into the thingy. So yeah, things are starting to happen. I think it's time to move circuits. Or finish smelting. Finishing smelting would actually be not a terrible idea too. You need one. You don't have a thingy anymore. No. Ah well, that's the end of that. Nope, no, we don't want to blueprint it. To get rid of it. Because that's, this mining output. I mean, I am leaving 41 stone. 41 stone. Honestly. We could mine that in like 2 seconds. There. Let's go over there. Let's deal with that. What are we looking here? We have a lot of copper plate in the network. That has been, oh, there's actually a lot of blue circuits in the network too. But yeah, we're just chipping away at the all the other rubbish. I assume that's, yeah, it's making gears. It's fine. Nothing else is. Oh, I'm trying to make chests. It's yeah, I was going to say it's probably lacking red circuits. Sure enough, it's lacking red circuits. I see. This has been slowly building up complaints over time because it's slowly been chipping away at the stockpile of uranium ore, and as the mining drills get removed, it gets replaced with pipe. But this thing can't actually summon pipe, so yeah, that's a thing. I probably should do something about that. You have... Oh, I know why. I was like, why is it... This is asking for pipe, but yeah, it's because the thingy doesn't have access to pipe, so it's not gonna... Yeah, in here, there's no pipe, so it can't deliver pipe. Am I going all blindy? Yes, yes I am. Never mind. Where's that puddle? Hey, PG! How you doing? There. Eat that for me, please. 35, 34, 33. Do you know what? That's not fast enough. Needs to be more fasted. 32, 30, 28, 26, 24, 22, 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 8, 4, and done. Just like that. It even packs itself up for me. And send you away. Then everything else can come back. Which means that the train can load up on these things again. The you know, whatever it's called, the lumpy things that lets you make more land on water, on top of what used to be water. Those things, the green lumpy things. Alright. I'm just gonna clog up the bot storage. I suppose the next step is to start sending this. Maybe send some of the landfill back to the starter base. Yes. How's it? How's the week been? How's everyone's week been? Busy? Been very busy for me, or has it been fairly easy? So as far as goals go today, I think I might start. I say start thinking about it. I'd like to start moving circuits over to its new location over here. Just free up here. It was just never really worked over here. It was a bit of a weird place to put it. I feel like over here would be better. It's just going to create a lot more contention along here. I mean, along this line here always had a lot of contention on it, so I don't know how it's going to go. Hopefully it'll be fine. Because you can see there's a lot of junctions sort of right next to each other, which has potential to be a problem. Which is part of why I want to move the circuits away. I suppose pushing it up that way does help. But yeah, I wanted to move circuits so it doesn't, trains don't need to come up here and up here, because this whole block was just very busy previously. I suppose I can actually reinstate that line too. Or potentially delete it entirely. That's also an option. Also, the oil base has changed again, for those who haven't seen, or haven't noticed. So, the new plastic build has appeared. The reason why I'm not showing this is because I've done it like 6 times now, and I don't really want to go through the process of doing it again. Nothing really magical to it. It's just direct, basic oil to plastic to bots to trains. Hello there, Ms. Yotaka. And then I decorated, so the actual range is delimited by some hazard concrete. And you got regular concrete, and then it's all prettied up, ready for final presentation. Similar story with this crap over here, the rocket fuel. This one is advanced cracking. Does a little bit of lube on the side. This is actually how it used to work originally in the base. So I actually restored it back to how it originally... I restored it back to factory settings. The stone, however, on this one needs a little tweaking. Are we excited for the fuzz? The fuzz? Moderately. I have no idea what we're going to see this time, though. I have no idea. Oh, and I'm also been growing this in the background. I need to figure out why this doesn't... The numbers on this don't work, and I don't understand why. So, I had like 15 explosive cannon shell machines, but apparently I only need 5. Not biters. It's definitely not biters. Yeah, for some reason, I only need 5, not for 2 artillery shells, and I genuinely don't understand why I had 15 before, if I only need 5. And as far as I can tell, the recipe hasn't changed. So, I have no idea. So I've been trying to headache that out, where I went wrong there. I imagine it's I probably just put a wrong time number in, a craft number in. Like, where is it? Explosive cannon shells. I think I might have done it for 16 seconds, not 8. I checked the wiki, and it just shows introduced and nothing's changed in the time. Well, actually, if I wanted to check the time, I would have loaded up an old version. If I was that keen, but either way, it's wrong now, and it can be fixed. Alright. So, let's find our way over to here. Going to use the Arty train today. Just like I did, I mean, we did get extensive use out of it last week. I mean, I think we might actually get use out of it today. I mean, we've got another base that needs recycling, shall we say? Hey, it's Maholic. And Veldek. How you doing, Maholic? What are you up to? I didn't actually get to see what you're up to. As I say, like, we've got some recycling to do here. It's well within range, and there's 69 available. I mean, you can't go wrong with 69 shells available. But I'm going to save that for the moment. Where are we going? Alright, we're going over there. I haven't figured out where rocket control units is going to go, though. That's the only thing. I mean, maybe I might switch rocket control up to where circuits is, because it's going to be a much smaller. I gotta regret saying that. I say it's going to be a smaller build. It's actually not. If you remember that all of that, like all of that, was just low density and control units. It was actually a fairly significant build, so it's probably going to still use the same amount of space. But I suppose it'd be slightly more efficient use of space. So that's at least got that going for it. Either way, I have also been slowly organizing the build. So there's the individual, and then there's the 16 train length optimized versions. I think. Did I actually finish that? I don't remember. It probably fixed. Yeah, and everything else. It's like a single control unit. What's that going on there? I think that's just my delimitation. Okay. Actually, there's a few things I want to do before we go there. Or before we deal with this. The first thing we need to do is go to science. Kind of tempted to pull it down a little bit. I feel like it's a little high. But, meh. It's probably fine. Because I can drop the track down and to there. It just feels like it's pushing too far into biter territory, that's all. That's sort of my hesitation with it. But at the same time, the trains are going to be, you know, like, if I was to grab an example, like it's going to be vertical load and unloads. So you're looking at something like, yeah, I could actually pull that down. Yeah, something like that and that, either there, right in the middle. And that feeds up and in and then feeds out. That's sort of the general gist of things. Okay, we need to deal with this traffic jam. And I'm going to deal with it the only way I know how. With excessive force. Okay, we just sent the traffic police in. We submitted an inquiry to the traffic inspector. So let's find out what the story is. Sir, you're illegally parked in a crossing. Please relocate. You have 15 seconds to remove your train or it shall be crushed into tiny pieces. Mostly. Well, at least one loco survived. I like how there's still a few remnants of locos there. Right, let's go to science. That's also freed up the trains. I actually like this red circuit build. I want to do it again. Same with the green circuits. This is one of my favourite builds, I think. I like this build. Clean up on rail 4. Clean up on rail 4. Just a bit dinged. It's still good. It's still good. What else we got going on? I did actually look into this as well. I don't entirely know why it won't output. So 4.5, 4.6, okay. 3.1, 4.6. Yeah, it's outputting the low one again for some reason. I don't really understand why it's doing that. I mean, I checked the logic and I did it for, I'm pretty sure I did it for an oil process, like an oil unloader, not a plate unloader, which is why the logic was all wonky. Apparently I took the liberty of building one of these already. Okay, so We want mainline segments. This blueprint book really needs a tidy. Yeah, and I want to move it to like there, ideally, or maybe there. Seeing as though it's going to be a proper mainline now. And I don't need blue circuits there. I actually want to put blue circuits down there. There's a nice coastline there. I might even eliminate the coastline and the acid processing. I don't really care for it. Even though it's very, very efficient. And it doesn't really need to be much. But yeah, I mean, just what's here is actually more than enough, so I might as well just do it that way. Just simplify things. Now. Yeah, this one's been reduced. Before I get too carried away. There, 2, 3. I want that about there. 1, 2, 3. Wants to be about there. I'm gonna chuck that for now. I'm also going to grab this. However much of it there is. It's quite a lot of it. About there. Just chuck it in the ute. Yeah, she'll be right. Couple of days. So about there. Yeah, it's a better position. Next minute, there's a mod that changes the cargo wagons into Holden utes. And for added realism, just have it completely beat down and breaks down every 10 seconds. Crap, you're gonna make me do all this manually. Well, it's not the end of the world. It's not... I mean, I got onto it early, so it's fine. And is Copilot vulnerable to remote code exploit? I'm not words. Words are very hard today. I was awake at like 4 AM and body was like sleeping time is over, so I'm a little bit bleh again, as always. But yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all. Isn't it already been vulnerable to prompt injection? What do they call it? Prompt injection? Where you can put malicious prompts into it to make it retrieve things or handle things in ways that it normally shouldn't be able to. Trains going on the left side in Australia? Yes. They generally do. Except for when they don't. It's a bit of a weird one. I can't speak for every state, but a lot in general, yes. But a lot of the locos that we get are imports from the US, which are kind of set up for right-hand drive. But at the same time, a lot of US stuff actually runs on the left anyway. It's kind of weird like that. Aha, there go the bots. Why are you lot not woken up? Yeah, there we go. That's true, actually. Nowadays, the US is sort of rationalized any double track down to single track. It's N Spellmaster. There you go, get on it. Do the rest of the commands. You know what needs to be done. You know what needs to happen to Spellmaster Skull. Come and take your drumming. Was there a sort of video of that? Going back to the dual side with the trains. Was either reading it or saw that recently, or I say recently, in the last month or two. Where they segregate by the train, even when there's bi-direction, like when there's two tracks, instead of running one up, one back, they just segregate them now for different purposes. It's like different different freight requirements, so that'll run different tasks or different trains on different tracks. Like if they want a super slow coal train up one line and then send a fast passenger up the other. I remember was the example that they gave. So the poor passenger train doesn't get stuck behind the coal train. I mean, it's not a perfect solution. It's not even really much of a solution, but it's a solution. Yeah, here, it's weird. It's actually really weird here because of the different gauge of track. Because we have two gauges of track. So things get even weirder. So you'll have like 3 lines, but 2 will be broad gauge and 1 will be standard gauge. Or you'll have 3 lines where 3 are, or 2 are, 2 or 3 are broad gauge, and then 1 or 2 are standard gauge. Where the standard gauge and broad gauge trains can run down, like the middle one or a side one, and where it's set up with 3 rails as dual gauge. Just to really be confusing. Ooh, brain juice. The brain juice. Right, the last piece of the puzzle that I need to do... Nope. The second last piece of the puzzle is to remove trees. The last piece of the puzzle is to plop down that. Alright, I'm happier with this position now. As I say, I wasn't really enthused about it. An extra wide gauge is 1 train going over all 3. The old, it's where you get the Lego track out and you just have this one Duplo train running over all of it or something. Where you get the, what is it, like the Playmobil or something. Yeah, or one of those, or maybe Fisher Price. You know, something like that. You get like one of those toys and you run it over the smaller Lego. It's all out of scale. Speaking of out, it's out of power. Split into 2 different tracks and don't fully separate the rails. That's probably... what you're describing is probably what we have here. It's where there's a common rail and then... Oh, it might actually be different. Because there's a few ways of doing it, but yeah. There's a common rail and then both trains run on, and then there's another rail which is either one for the standard gauge and one for the broad gauge. Wow, I can't think today. Oh, next week's gonna suck. Not looking forward to it. At least I'll be back Wednesday. Convert a track with 2 would lead to some fun times when the train doesn't know changes cage. Rip power, yeah. I'm being lazy and I really shouldn't be. There you go. I need to just do it properly. Yeah, that's why I stopped myself, because I thought I realized you were talking about they run over the top of the same physical space, but they don't run on the same physical rails. You'd have to be a very different, like an extreme difference in gauge to justify that for the holy crap, that was that was almost an exterminator moment. But that was actually very close to, like, if I was any slower and paying any less attention, I mean, I wasn't paying any attention to trains on the track, you would get to learn what the Manly Walk Ride's all about. Oh, there's going to be a lot of crap here, isn't there? Right, is that enough in range? Not quite. Now it is. Right, now that they're doing that automatically, I can just ignore it. Also, if you're wondering, apparently this playlist is called Emo. I was just looking through the Pretzel playlist, like, let's try it. It's always been there, and I was like, I wonder what it's like. Now I know. It seems like Foo Fighters alike, I think, is probably the way to describe it. Ah! So, that name in game will be paid out next week when we go back to Oxygen Not Included. So, fear not. It's not actually for Factorio, but I keep the line open to trick you into committing yourself to be a dupe in Oxygen Not Included. Some would say that that is somewhat sneaky, and I can just name a station after you as well. I don't actually really done that this time. I should really do that. One of the previous games we had a whole bunch of stations named after people. The problem is I don't know where to put it because everything's all train stop names and crap. We could start a whole... Oh yeah, I moved the siding and cleaned it up too. But we can start like an whole extra siding, which is named people. Named people. So let's start at the bottom. A blue chip station renamed to you. Ooh. I see now. How about that? You can be the entry point. It's a blue chip station. It's technically correct. Good, yeah. Not that there is anything even in the rules about its name in game, and that doesn't actually specify how it's utilized in game. And 55 minutes away, by the way. What are you? You are greens. Right, let's expunge more trees. That's a lot of trees. It's a number of trees. Exactly. Capital F, 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 capital F. AKA, in case you're wondering. How about I just grab the book? Should name these two. How do I name these? "16x production." I pressed escape, so therefore it's probably not kept. Which means I probably did the same. Yeah, I did the same to that. I pressed escape, which doesn't save. Utility. No, it isn't. Utility's missing. Okay, then. Savigor. Science. Production. Because of course there's always a little bit of water in the way. Well, it was a cliff. Yes. Puddle of waters should be gone now. Yeah, was a cliff, being the key term. Oh yeah, while I think of it, another one of those videos from the playlist popped up on my YouTube now. It's just been slowly throwing each one at me, one by one. Actually, I would play it, but I don't think I can anymore. Also, I don't really want to. Oh, off by one. Apparently. Yep, off by one. Pain. The pain of being off by one. I mean, I don't really want to play any of those songs from that playlist anymore either anyway. It's just funny seeing them pop up again. Just randomly, like, some of them are like uploaded 9, or most of them are like uploaded 9, 10 years ago. And so, it's just funny seeing them randomly. Since I haven't played them since, like, what, 2017? I think it was when I got rid of that. 2017, early 2018, I think I got rid of that, stopped using that playlist. Oh dear. Actually surprised Fat Rat hasn't popped up. I think did I mention that last time? I can't remember. Because I barely know what day it is at this point. Because they're tired. But yeah, because that Fat Rat playlist did the rounds a lot with a lot of people. Okay. I'm just going to leave that do its thing. I need to visit Nuclear. That was a stupid... Oh, I closed it. By the way, I am leaving your name in the list because you redeemed it, you are committed to becoming a dupe. And that means, per discretion, I can commit you to being consumable like an ore in oxygen not included. Your dupe might become consumable. Oh yeah, so I was actually planning on something here, but I was going to wait, but I can do it now. What I want to do is rearrange the belt slightly. I want to try and get the spent fuel on one side of the belt to try and minimize the buffer of spent fuel for a start. And then secondly, I want to pick all this stuff up and just put it back down around here where it's got a little bit more it's a little bit less awkward of a space to sit over here than up there. Up here where it is. Also that. I spotted it before. I didn't call it out, but I was aware of it. So what I want is this to come back round like so. That goes that away. Yeah, it comes round here somewhere. And some such. So fishies. Spell Prentice. A very old joke on a very old Minecraft server. I approve of this. I mean, I like the idea of calling it Spell Prentice. Ooh, precious, precious. I saw the shadow and I hadn't twigged, and yeah, precious, precious fishies right there. One friend gave you the nickname in game, and we managed to trick another friend that I was a completely different person, but teamed up with a normal name. That's funny. I don't really remember the Minecraft exploits that I used to do. I do remember doing like really stupid things, pointless things. It's just like it was on a public server, and I remember I was just it was a Tekkit public server, and I remember having a jetpack or something, and I was like 200 blocks above the spawn, and I was just randomly throwing gravel down. It was funny because you could watch the chat, and these kids were arguing amongst themselves. They kept saying like, "Dude, I need a jetpack. Dude, give me a jetpack." It's like, why do you need your jetpack? Dude, give me a jetpack. It went on for like 10 minutes. This back and forth of this guy wanting a jetpack, and then he eventually says it. I want to find out where this gravel's coming from. It was so dumb, but so funny. This went so long. This dude begging for a jetpack, but not saying why he wanted it. Minecraft Space Program brought to you by 1.21 Breeze Charges. Successfully launched a pig to boat by 2.3 million. Oh man, TNT cannons. That's something I haven't done in a long time too. There was another, that reminds me, we had a, the first Minecraft server that I played on with a few friends, there was a whole field, in front of like a mountain or something, and the whole area was just completely obliterated because we're just firing TNT off it off this TNT cannon launcher. The cannon back then being that would have been I don't know how you do it now. I assume it's still an infinite power. Yeah, I pulled that up from the so this was before the nuclear optimizations, so I was using an energy interface to fake nuclear power. Okay. It's just the 50,000 breeze charges. What was it? It was a, yeah, the TNT cannon, it was like it had, cobblestone like that, and, what was that? And then you would have TNT like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then your projectile there, and you would light all of these, and if you timed it just right, they would. This is on water pushing back behind the first TNT as well. And they would all slowly slide back, and then just as they explode, they all explode at the same time, and just as they explode, they go past the last one, and it just yeets the crap out of it. There was another mod pack, though, I forget what it was. It had a lot of stupidly overpowered weapons. And it had things like zero delay touch plates and shaped TNT. And I remember... how's the fish counter not full? It needs... So, do you want to know the secret of the fish counter? Oh, this fish counter hasn't actually been progressed very much. But do you want to know the secret to the fish counter? After all this time? Are you curious? Do you wish to have the forbidden knowledge? I cheated it in? The fish counter? No, the fish counter's logarithmic. It actually, to fill the fish counter, it needs like 40 million fish. That's the trick to this thing. It needs like 40,000 or something fish. I forget what it is. I never actually shown it, but I have actually tried. Wherever the hell it is. There it is. Helps if you wire it to the right wire. There we go. $10 million. I think it was 10 million. Must be 10 million. Yeah, it's 10 million. So yeah. It actually takes a lot of fish. Each fish is fake. Fake fish confirmed. I think the blueprint relies on the old school substations too. It's just really funny. It's the remnant of the old fish. I've completely forgotten what I was about to do. Oh yeah, I was looking at this thing. This thing's actually already a 16-way as is. Which is actually really convenient for me. Is it 4? 4 concurrent unloads. So, stands to reason that I can just grab this as it is presented, and maybe just flop it right there. Don't let me ever do the math. I hate finding out the results. Yeah, you don't want to think about how many fish you actually have to mine to make that work. Because it's 10 million fish is a lot of fish. Thankfully, you get more than one fish now. And that is if you pick it up from the lake. But you can also get more fish from launching rockets. Oh, shush you. That's some crazy power polling. Yes, no. What is it? Space science? You'd launch space science, it gives you 1,000 space science gives you 1,000 fish or something. I forget what it is. Yeah, so blue circuits. I suppose the next step is to. Is that, yes. Yeah, I'm gonna have to deal with this sooner rather than later at the rate that I'm going. Only 200,000 launches. Yeah, it's easy. Easy. Oh, you did the math for your 12,500 block long piston bolt in Minecraft. You need 25,000 pistons, 10,000 redstone, and 6 million stone. Just make a little bank of smelters with the Kajigas. Be done in. You'll have the 6 million stone smelted in no time. Yeah, just a few not droppers, hoppers. Couldn't think of it for a moment there. Yeah, you'd have to. You probably have to clock it. Yeah, you have enough inserters to balance it out to 50, if you were so inclined. You could also just put exactly 50 into the chest. 833334. You know there's integer rounding there. Sometimes when you look at number, you just know. Yep, artillery train is on the move. It is coiling up. You could do some, what I was thinking of was you can do some logic to supply the fish into a requester or a buffer or either or, and then have it launch when it's empty. And just have a state machine to figure out the logic. Yes, it is very much out of ammo. It does still have 1,600 shells, so it's not incredibly out of ammo. What we are is in abundance, overabundance of green circuit trains, and so we need to deal with them. A lot of this stuff is obsolete, so I'm not going to really stress too much over it. So that's only 64,000 green circuits per train being recycled. We are recycling here. We're still at this, are we? Yeah, it never ends. Just cleaning up the things that didn't get cleaned up last time. The poor inserters. Yeah, so the reason I'm doing that is it's easier to give it long-range bombardment than it is to deconstruct it and try and deal with all the items in inventory. It's easier than it just works out easier this way. Yeah, like see, it's not a full train. It's only 2,800 blue circuits in that one and 5,100 in this one. Key part is was. early game players be in tears right now. Tears of nearly 10,000 blue circuit. How many? This is nearly 1 million green circuits here. I would be so. No, it's not about 1 million. Well, if you don't know about what happened, it does now. In 30 minutes. There we go. That should simplify deconstruction. A little bit danger close. It's probably fine. You can watch it deconstruct in real time. Right from the safety of the train track over here. I mean, it's pretty ballsy standing right here. Yeah, I did the mental gymnastics on which to use. I think artillery shells, they're not as potent as nukes, but they do seem to clear a little bit quicker. I mean, it's a bit of a wash with this particular arrangement. It's probably not as efficient as it could be, but it's overall it's fairly comparable. Okie day. Let's just pack up the rest. I mean, it was 64 by 4, 8, 12, 16, whatever that is, plus whatever was in the machines. So that's the sort of quantities we're dealing with here. The question is that whether or not it's allowable under efficient deconstruction of obsolete factory components. That's really what the question comes down to. There's chests there. That's inconvenient. What is... I assume to be chest? Yeah, there's chest full of red circuits. Probably should have looked more closely at what the build actually is. At this point, it's more just substation abuse. No. Don't really have any excess. The place just generally doesn't have much at all in the way of bots. I mean, I suspect a few bots died. I mean, a few of them might be hiding in their thingies at the minute. the roboports. Every few hours, millions of green circuits are blown to smithereens in Mojo's factory. Together, we can stop this. Sign the petition now. Gone are the days when I had a factory that made over 1 million green circuits a minute. What does this one? I think this one actually do pretty close to 1 million. 267,000. 250,000. I think actually it's not counting what's needed for red circuits. Signs the petition. And it just has a fiery sneeze that sets fire to roboports as well. You need... Ah, there it is. That's why you don't has power. That might actually help because it joins the two networks together. These networks aren't shared. Okay, they only hold 200. Very well. Could do it much quicker if I just walked over, just did the dot matrix the remains of the blue circuits and hold down F at the same time. Found a very efficient use of green circuits. Everything that isn't used for buildings or science is being used to construct spidertrons that are being loaded into rockets and shot into space. That is a very good use of excess materials. It's actually really interesting looking at the numbers for a spidertron a minute. That's a lot of stuff. It is not easy to do. It's not the worst, but it gets pretty nasty. What is it? It's legs and things. Fish. Oh yeah, that's right. The low densities and the control units. 2 speed efficiency 3s, not speed 3s. Efficiency 3s. Yeah, 516 blue circuits is... I mean, it's not a huge amount, but it's not a small amount. Who needs SPM when you can have SPM? You can think there's a need for more of a distinction there between SPM and SPM. SRPM. Spider rockets per minute. It's a worthy endeavour, I think. I should do that for as one of the final goals for 2.0, not 1.0, 2.0. Because I never really got into any of the other goals, like a power armor 2 a minute or a Spidertron a minute. I did the numbers on it, but I never got followed through on it. The trick is to build multiple bases. Oh, I thought, just as I said it, I thought of something even better. Each planet in 2.0 is dedicated to a different task. So, you know, you have your science a minute planets, you have your spiders a minute planets, you have your power armor 2s a minute planets, you have your foundry a minute planet. You know, all those fun things. Maybe whatever else that's really expensive a minute, and you just fire off in as a rocket. Actually, how does firing off a rocket even... Because it doesn't really fire off into the void anymore, I don't think. That's actually a good question. I don't know how that works. Does launching a rocket still just fire off into the void? I can't remember. Koala per minute. See, we don't want that rebuilt, we want that deconstructed. Undercarriage deaths per minute. A planet for undercarriage inspections. Don't actually need to deconstruct that. I don't need to. I mean, I want to, but I don't need to. Nuclear reactors on a bus. Get the full-on Zistu bus going. I think it was the Zistu bus. I don't remember now. It was a main bus, and it had literally everything on it. It was the most main bus ever. So, you know, it had your iron plates, it had your copper plates, it had your gears, then it had your belts, and then your underground belts, and your splitters, just everything. All on the bus. Ah, Railbus. Railbus was fun. That stands out as one of my most favourite builds with the Factorio extended Railbus. That's one of out of all the bases I've built, that's one of my favourites. Spidertron. What is that? 2,700? Why do I keep thinking that's wrong? It is correct. 2,000. Yeah, 45 Spidertrons a second. 2,700. My head's getting confused with the green belt. The upcoming green belt. It's true though, it will be Greenbelt once 2.0 comes out. I can't even pick that up yet. Actually steal a few thingies from here. Go, continue to feed the train. And somehow ends up spending most of the time deconstructing another base. Alright, how we're looking? Mostly covered. Just get the coverage back and then I'll leave it to its thing. Ah, you can see it fading away right before your eyes. The rubble. "15 minutes? Oh yeah, it is. So I looked at the time and for some reason I processed it as 8:15. I don't know why. We're way past that. Yeah, it's all got coverage. I had to decide to go around the long way. Whee! Settle down. Settle down there, mouse. Alright, so that's another build dealt with. Ghosted it in back over there. We're going to leave that just to be for now. Freedom train needs to return home. We're looking over here. 47k plastic. It's probably run out of... yeah, it's run out of iron. I have a solution to this. It's not a great solution, but it's a solution. It's another thing that would be nice in 2.0 is being able to touch these things directly. Instead of having to, you know, do all this indirect nonsense. I was actually only aiming for 1,000, but I'll take 10,000. It's just to try and use up the materials that are in there, to turn them into artillery shells, just slowly. It's good enough. Hey, it actually managed to reduce... I don't know if those are recent or not, though. But I think it's possible it's been doing things. Alright, what do we want to do next? Probably need to start looking at these things. Which also needs a little bit of help from the artillery train. That might be for another day. Need to charge up more shells. Desperately low on artillery shells to deal with the circuit build. Alright, so... I've got the raw red circuit build. What I'm going to do though is take one of these complete units, if I can. I should actually have a complete unit ready to go. The circuit builder is too powerful for any artillery train to handle. Get the nuclear artillery on it. Should actually be a. I thought there was a. Yeah, I split it up into 3 books, but I thought there was a. Ah, I tapped V. I was wondering what the hell happened. Did I keep a copy of the old ones? A real question. I cleaned up my blueprint library. Finally. As a lot of rubbish has been removed. And just generally obsolete stuff. Alrighty. Annoyingly, now I've got to turn all this back on. Yeah, I'll let it summon all that crap. Ah yes, there's a few construction bots in there. Yeah, I can deal with that for now. So I've got the parallel coming up the sides, whereas the red circuit itself is a bit more... yeah, like that. That's a good amount of space, though. Probably about there. Ooh, I need to do something quickly. There it is. Yeah, I'm pedantic enough. 67,000 red circuits a minute are needed. Yeah, see, 8888. 7 minutes. Which means we'll also need you. What do you have last time? Yeah, the player GUI. What did these do? 9.8k. I mean, in saying that, This is only a half build now. Getting the robot coverage though might be interesting. Yeah, just double it up like that. Man, I remember routing those belts originally. So, it'll be something like that. We're on the 5-minute countdown. Just be generous. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. It'd be something like that. Probably realistically more like that. Lucifer. Edwin. Yeah, should be interesting. I am genuinely at the point where I don't know what is left to really reveal. Seen an amazing thing? What is this amazing thing? Do tell. An AI image generator. Oh yeah, which is Mid-Journey, isn't it? It's. They say it's their own AI, but it's really just it's an implementation of someone else's AI. People create an image where Elon Musk is kissing Donald Trump. Didn't I see one of those like a week ago? Yeah, it's a resell of another one. I just don't remember what it was. It's just someone else's image generator, and they repackaged it, and they probably tweaked a few things, and yeah, just repackaged it. Yeah, I thought I saw one of those like a week ago, possibly when it first came out. Because I've been keeping close attention. Apparently, the bubbles burst on AI though. That's what all the YouTube, clickbait says. 3 minutes. Do we have an early one? No. We are not so lucky. This poor train's going to be very busy now. Yeah, grok is what they call X calls it. Yeah, I I get what you mean. It's really like only the early days of the implosion. I haven't quite reached the point where it's going to completely spontaneously combust on itself. Refresh. We're there yet? 59. 1 minute. I wonder how much the traffic spikes from people hammering refresh. I'd like to know. I'm curious. Wow, we're up to 109. 11109. Hold. Hold. Will it be planet? Will it be biters? Will it be random quality of life improvements? We shall find out in 25 seconds. Is it like 10 seconds yet? Are we there yet? Just a little bit further? Exclamation mark honk. If it's biters. Exclamation mark Jan. If it's fusion. Hey, there it is. It's stomp time. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? If you don't want spoilers on the enemies and want to discover naturally, then you might want to skip this one. It's biters. A trumpeting scream quietens all the animals. You hear breaking the waves followed by stomping, earth-shaking stomps that are getting louder and louder. Looking in the direction of the sound, you see the cliff raising to a tall hill of fungus. At the top it shakes a little with each stomp. But the source of the sound is further behind the hill. You're ready your weapons, but the sound of stomp getting louder and louder. It stops getting louder and instead moves to the right. I just completely hallucinated what the words were. It then gradually fades into the distance. Whatever it was big. After climbing the hill to investigate, you see the valley to the other side. Some of the large translucent green eggs float on a raft of flimsy foam in a pool of shallow water. You get closer, the eggs are a soft jelly, portion of which still waters sagging under their own weight. The centre is a dark, blurry mass of tangled limbs and eyes. This is available in YouTube in 4K. Something got exploded at we raided there. Mamaroo. So many. Hello. It's got it's Spellmaster. You got the laser eyes going. It's a crab spider. And bees! Bees! They might be kamikaze bees. War of the Worlds. Oh, there's an even bigger one. It's taken a lot of it. It's basically like an organic Spidertron. So you got Spindly Crabby, you got Chonky Boy Crab. I don't know, what do you call a critter with 5 legs? A pentapod? Fire. I mean, that took some doing to take down. Suddenly the egg erupts and clawed limbs swipe at your face. Strange creature wriggles in the water trying to claw at you. Through the splashing, you make up 5 limbs like a starfish. Ah! Pentapod, yeah. The claws glance off your energy shield with minimal damage. Oh wait. Bulging head-like structure, many eyes on the side like a sponge. Material on the sides of its head are crests, transparent blisters that are inflating from the air, something like a paddle or a wing. drags itself around like some sort of ravenous tentacled baby with the occasional lurching movement, and it launches itself at you, trying to grapple with its limbs and bite you with its underside. The claws glance off your energy shield with minimal damage. Your personal laser defense springs into action, and in a flash of a light, the newborn is cut to shreds. The laser then switches targets to the egg raft. Moments later, all the eggs burst into a horrifying swarm of angry, thrashing creatures. The sea of flailing limbs and odd movement makes it difficult to target individuals. You bravely retreat back to the cliff and equip the flamethrower to protect yourself with a wall of fire. Undaunted, wriggling creatures run straight into the fire and die soon after. Another trumpeting scream pierces the sky, but this time doesn't sound distant at all. A slender, towering creature stares at you with its large, bulging eyes, strafes sideways, circling you, gracefully stepping over the cliffs and treed like fungi with its 5 thin legs. This is enemy number 2. Launches something from its head, a projectile into the air and arcing towards you. You start retreating, but its 4 wings spread from the sides, and the projectile and it steers towards you like a homing missile. The flying creature rams into you, grappling you with its clawed limbs, slowing your movement. You throw it down to the ground, it becomes indistinguishable from the wriggler you dispatched earlier. Your laser defenses make short work of it, but without warning, you're struck by another projectile creature from the other side. Another strafer has arrived and is also bombarding you. Both strafers are staying out of range of your automated laser. They're actually trying to keep a distance. I knew the enemies were going to be interesting. It makes sense to have Tesla and missile defenses for your bases then. Definitely. Dash towards the strafers with your submachine gun in hand, but as you do, the strafer to your front retreats and the other advances. They seem intent on keeping you at range, circling you while flinging homing projectiles. No matter, you have another weapon up your sleeve. You dash forward again, this time with a rocket launcher. The rocket snakes its way through the air and blasts into the first strafer. The creature shrieks and attempts to retreat, but another rocket is already on the way. The second rocket strikes unerringly, and a moment later, the strafer is blown apart, leaving a cloud of pieces rain down onto the swamp below. Stomp, stomp, stomp! I think the right word is more dynamic. Instead of just charging towards you like a Doom enemy, it has some it has more in-depth mechanics. I don't want to say, I nearly said smarter again. It's not smarter. Like the logic is come this close but not that close. So maintain a distance, which is it's kind of like a follower bot really. Just a different dynamic. Stomp, stomp, stomp. The stomping has returned. A colossal spiked shell rises into view from behind a hill. It strides effortlessly over a cliff with its 5 huge armor-plated legs. This creature is clearly related to the others, but is far heavier, with a far wider stance and thick legs, central body, and its head region is like a shell, like a shielding shell, with small eyes peering through narrow holes. It's like it's been refined into a tonk spider, starfish spider, pentapod. You fire some rockets at the stomper, and they do some damage, but nowhere near enough to take it down. You have very few rockets left, and they won't be enough to kill the stomper, so it's better to save it for the other strafer, which was difficult to catch otherwise. The stomper charges at you, even with your exoskeleton equipment. The stomper can outrun you. It's fast. You stand your ground with a submachine gun, but you can't dodge effectively while you fire. As you get closer, the tremors stress your shield, and thrown debris from its stomps pummel the shield further. The creature lands a foot directly on you, and your shields falter. That hurts, and this isn't working. So you can survive being squished. Start moving again, not to outrun it, but to outmaneuver it. It may be faster than you in a straight line, but it can't change directions quickly, as the other strafer is still alive and flinging new enemies at you from a distance. By switching between dodging movement and bursts of SMG fire, you're able to evade most of the Stomper's damage and keep the number of wrigglers low. So we're calling them wrigglers, the bees. You wait for an opening when you're not being stomped on, swarmed on, and that is in Strafer's view, and you get 2 rockets and success. The last Strafer falls dead. Now you just got the Stomper. A duel to the death. While continuing to dodge its feet, you make your way to a larger area of land to make your last stand. No more rockets, gun ammo is low, time for the flamethrower. As you circle around each other and douse the area in flames, the dance continues in flames until one of you falls. More fire, more spinning, more fire. Spin to win! World becomes a hazy blur of flames, smoke and death. Spin to win, just like 014 all over again. The new enemies on Gleba, aka Moldy Planet, are pentapods. I actually call it pentapods, I called it. 5-legged creatures that are based on distant relatives of starfish or sea stars, so sometimes we call them starfish, land stars, or starfeet. Starfeet? Starfeet. Mostly, though, we call them by their most common forms: stompers, strafers, and wrigglers. What about stompers, chonkers, and bees? First encounter pentapods. It could be that you rushed to space, went straight to Moldy Planet, and are very weak in combat. At the other end of the spectrum, this could be a third new planet, and you could have spent a long time investing in military, including new weapons from other planets. This range of combat capability makes it difficult to choose a good starting threat level for the enemies. You call them dead. Unless, yeah, the wrigglers could actually be the ground ones, but the ground ones seem to be flying ones as well. New weapons play the range compatibility. For now, we're going for a threat level that makes the starting evolutions difficult if you are completely unprepared, but still survivable if you have standard equipment, even if it's lacking in damage upgrades. Also, if you're completely unprepared, that just means enemies are difficult to take down on your own, but then an engineer with a pocket full of turrets never needs to be solo. One reason we can risk pentapod enemies starting with better combat capability than buyers is because they're fairly passive. They will defend their nests and attack you if you attack a nearby ally, but otherwise will leave you alone at first. If you do fight them and win, they will evolve. Pollution on Gleba is different. The usual pollution sources aren't a problem for Gleba's ecosystem. It's already high CO2 environment and the fungi would eat up most of the industrial pollutants. Instead, it's based on aroma and spores. The fungi that you need to grow, harvest and process are the ones that enemies eat. Agricultural activities make spores that smells eventually attract pentapods. So technically it is inherently peaceful, but you entice them in with irresistible snacks. Also, with Navis pollution, the effect does cause the local enemies to evolve as they are exposed to your agricultural growth. Growth formula and meddling ways. Yum yum. Yamako cannon. Pickups, Gleba defense drop-off. Goody something goody hut. Arendelle? That's a snack. Service guarantees citizenship. Would you like to know more? Cloud spores and pollen. Smells like meddling. Smells like dinner to a pentapod. There we are. Look at it flopping around. Wigglers. The egg rafts are the pentapod equivalent of spawners. They only appear in shallow waters of various Gleba marshlands, which both you and your enemies can wade through. This keeps them away from the drier highland areas, which are easy to build in, but puts them close to areas where you want to harvest your agricultural products. Destroying an egg raft will yield some pentapod eggs contained. Pentapod eggs are a key ingredient needed to make the biochamber, an important bioprocessing machine in Gleba. So this is actually something that I wanted to know, was what more about the biochamber. So I'm actually getting that as well, finally. Like many biological items on Gleba, they're on a timer. However, if they don't spoil in the normal way, wait too long and you may find yourself face to face with hungry hatchling pentapods. That's funny. You will need quite a few biochambers in your time on Gleba. More importantly though, Gleba might need more biochambers when you're not there. So of course, just automate everything with a bit of technology and you can turn limited egg supply into a fully automated and somewhat risky production cycle. I love that. Love it. Yeah, so there's the egg sacs, there's the wibbly wobblies. Wrigglers are not very threatening individually. Their damage from their claws is reasonable, but they're fairly fragile and tend to die quickly. So most of your weapons in your arsenal. The true advantage is overwhelming numbers, but stompers and trafers can deliver newborn wrigglers straight to you. When you're faced with a large threat, like a stomper, it's easy to overlook the steady accumulation of seemingly weak wrigglers. Before long, they can become vicious, deadly horde. Pocket pentapods. There's a wiggler. Which is basic. It is literally a reskin Spidertron, by the way, with 5 legs. It is functionally the same. I mean, I love that they've repurposed a Spidertron for the same thing and turned it into an enemy, or that they've respun an enemy into a Spidertron into an enemy. Strafers are fairly fragile, but use range and speed to outmaneuver opponents. They launch flying wrigglers at their target like a homing missile. When a flying wriggler hits a target, it falls to the ground and becomes a normal wriggler, ready to keep attacking. Try to keep a target distance. They outrange. Now, outrange the gun and laser turrets, so you will need to consider this for your defences. If you place a single turret, then a strafer will be able to destroy it with no consequence. However, if you make a large area of turrets, then the strafer will have to try and circle one turret which it's fixated on. While doing so, will probably wander into range of another turret. When they take damage, they'll try to back away, but they can't change direction instantly. And I did wonder if exactly that was going to happen. So yeah, you just have dotted turrets. So probably maybe not a solid defense. Or even, yeah, maybe because they're going to fixate on one, and they're going to they're going to circle around here, and so they're going to collide with the turrets there. Yeah, I mean, the old brick wall probably still works. I mean, they're going to step over walls fine, so that's a thing. That's the thing you got to consider, because it's basically a Spidertron, so it's just going to walk over walls. They can't change direction. Ideally, you want weapons with long range or a high alpha strike. Like the rocket turret, which is currently unlocked on Gleba, or the Tesla turret. Yeah, both of those I figured. Did I not say that both of those are going to be very important for these things? Stomper, aka Chonker. Clearly, they inspired the Spidertron. Oh yeah, and yeah, the massive rails or transport belts. Run, it's the Stop Stomp. It's the Chonk Chonk. The Chonker, Pentachonk. Extremely tough and take a lot of damage. They have a short range spit attack, but their primary attack is stomping prey with their feet. Their foot does a lot of damage with a direct hit, but there's an area splash damage, yep. Where the creature's still in combat mode. Discord's already demanding arachnophobia mode. Also, hello, Sir Overlord. Hey, Will. What do you reckon? Stompers and strafers can both walk over walls and cliffs, obviously, so walling itself in is not effective on Gleba. Wrigglers can't bypass walls once they're on the ground, but that doesn't help when they can be thrown over a wall. Splash damage means... dense defenses are a bad idea. So you want sparse defenses that are resilient to the stomp. And then it of course, breaks up into more wrigglers. Because why not? And yeah, the wrigglers are just are being repurposed as a projectile. We wanted many new enemies of very, very different types. Albert imposed some initial constraints. There should not be anything with fur. And there should be no vertebrates. The first designs covered a wide range of no vertebrates. Echoes from Corn. Hello. I'm getting so many chat server not responding messages. Shocked they posted about enemies. I was sort of I was expecting them to give us some stuff, but maybe not the stomp. Yeah, for anyone, I'm a little bit behind on the chat because lately it's just been really bad for timeouts. Like, it's struggling to keep... I normally have 2 chats open for redundancy, and they're both struggling. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 in the last 10 minutes. Vertebrates would be too close to biters. As funny as when I first started, it was this bad. And then it sort of came good. Yeah, the Twitch being twitchy. It's back with a vengeance. Also, that had a delay of between 5 and 10 seconds from one to the other popping up. So it was like I would say about split the difference in say 7. So I saw it on one, and then 7 seconds later it appeared on the other. That's what I'm dealing with at the minute. To prove you wrong, they made the FFF about biters. Never going to hear the end of it from JD. He's been predicting biters every week since it was announced last year. Yeah, so they stomp over walls. They went different types, no invertebrates. Vertebrates, the first few designs covered a wide range of directions, so next he added the constraint of things shouldn't get too alien, so that puts us in a range of designs that approximately look like they could evolve from Earth creature thousands or millions of years ago. That still has a huge range of options though. Nature can be freaky. We also knew that at least some of the enemies should be very large. One of the problems with 2D sprites for large enemies is that not only is the sprite automatically larger, but also that for any rotation, a pixel moves more the further it is from the center of the rotation. To stop pixels from jumping around too much, we need more frames to make the rotation smooth. That's even more pixels for more sprite sheets and more things, and yeah, bad things. We have some leggy tech from Spidertron, so it made sense to try and use that in at least one of the new large enemies. So that was a starting point for the design, and we ended up being the pentapods. Yeah, the pentapod is just a reskinned Spidertron with 5 legs. Like that mod that lets you give Spidertrons an arbitrary number of legs. Lots of different ways to go with a leggy enemy. At the start we didn't know what the enemies would go, so we're sketching all sorts of weird and wonderful things because of the design of the space was so large. There were a lot of aesthetic game mechanics considerations, but along the way, give an example, leggy enemies didn't have any pathfinding, so they couldn't be on a planet with large obstacles like lava. Like a lava lake, which they can't step over. They actually do have pathfinding now. Yeah, it's just a value, and there's a mod that lets you change it. So you can have one-legged Spidertrons. Yes, one of the earlier ones. It almost looks like a Rift Breaker enemy again. The spiky thing, of course. Usually based on something like sea stars being a different ancestor starting point. Sea stars exoskeleton made up of many small plates and is really useful for something destined to lift its body off the ground. Sea stars are related to urchins, which have a dome-shaped shell, and is useful for the head or central body section of the creature. Right one looks cool. It does look pretty cool, doesn't it? The big thing going round. Bit chonk though. I mean, I suppose it does work for the pentachonk. Legs should be indistinguishable for performance reasons, so that forces the rotational symmetry of the lower body. We found rotation symmetry didn't work for the upper body. Naturally. To a combat, it was important to have the enemy clearly showing its targeted direction, which means the head should have directionality to look at the target with something like a face. It's almost looked like the a biter. The biter legs. Early strafer concepts before settling on the starfish ancestry. So it's four-legged, technically. Possibly five. One hidden. That one looks... I mean, that one's more biter-like. It's a tentacle with legs, that one. And that's like a boomer with legs. Boomer being the boomer from Left 4 Dead 2. Or Left 4 Dead. To do this, I designed the head dome section of the creature to have evolved from a state where it had lots of holes. The holes on the side have evolved light sensitive and become eyes. The holes on the other side deepen to become more like a sponge. To increase the surface area and increase respiration potential. Muscles can squeeze the sponge area and let the creature actively breathe and grow into larger sizes. Almost like a Pokemon. Hunters got your heart racing. The trick with the hunters was to, when you hear the sound, was to block at just the right time. It was like 3/4 of a second or something after you hear, or 1.5 seconds after you hear the screech, as you just hit block. And usually that timed it just right to stop them from latching onto you. One of the things I could never get through to people when I was playing it was that you don't shoot the hunter, you melee the hunter, and that detaches them. Same with jockeys. You don't shoot the jockey, you melee the jockey, and that knocks it loose. Was that true of the hunter? It might not be true of the hunter, actually. My Left 4 Dead is a little hazy. Jockey is definitely true. I think it's true of the hunter as well. I might need confirmation on that. But yeah, you can block hunters and jockeys from latching onto you if you melee as they are trying to latch onto you at the same time. But it has to be just as you're, like, swinging out. Hunter will always be blocked if you swing. Jockeys not so much. We need a Left 4 Dead evening? Potentially, yeah. It's not going to be any time in, like, the next week, unfortunately. The wings are based on the same sorts of holes, but the surface is sealed, so it can be inflated with air like a balloon. The originally hypothetical evolution process could be that it would be used as a flotation assistant, but that would have evolved into inflated crests like Portuguese man of war, and then into a shape that helps give gliding aerial control while young. In the strafer phase of life cycle, they'd be used as an expressive signaling device, but in later life the exterior shell hardens. The winglets would be lost. I like how just the level of thought and backstory that's gone into the design. So it's got a whole, body going on here. A mouth, a grinder, a stomach, a fermenter, an ejector, a heart, a vein, a nerve, a brainicans, an iacans, eggs, lungs, wing spit missiles, muscles, cloaca, early flyer / missile concepts. Their mouth is the bottom of the body, and the top of their head is a multi-purpose hole which is connected to the final fermentation chamber, which is the last stage of digestion. The creature produces legs internally and either spew the eggs into shallow water, forming the egg raft, Or they keep their eggs to hatch internally where the hatchling can get into the fermentation chamber. The internally hatched young can then be spat out at the food sources or at threats, which are often also food sources, so they can be grappled and consumed. Oh dear, that's hilarious. In the lore for these creatures, their behavior, occupation, strategy, and global population control is linked to them being very tribal creatures, where nearby unrelated tribes are considered to be enemies for competing resources. It would be nice to have all that simulated in-game, but doing so would be terrible performance and not improve gameplay, so we just have to imagine that stuff going in the background. Aww. They're walking broodlords. They are, yes. You know a mod's coming to re-implement that. Concept art for the Gleba family. We were initially going for a more translucent look, but we couldn't overcome some layering problems caused by transparent overlapping sprites, so instead we went with rougher shells and rubbery bodies. That's unfortunate. The more translucent look would have been cool. Yeah, that's more like what it is, yeah. Yeah, the layering's a bit... Like, it's got the more translucent look, but yeah, it doesn't quite... Yeah, that drier look does actually look alright, look better. Create the concept art for all the Gleba enemies, eggs, raft spawners, and spawning foam with input from Albert and V. Towards the end of the concept art phase, I made 3D sculptures of the Stomper and the Strafer, which were close to the final version. From there, Fergal took the sculptures, added the finer details and texturing, cut them up for rigging. Welcome to the chat room. At the start, we were hoping the graphics could be done in the same way as the Spidertron legs, but of course things were not so simple. Never is simple. Enemy legs are much thicker and move over a wider range of angles, so it revealed all the problems in the old lighting setup, the rigging setup, and to get both good lighting and good projection, angles requires some serious mental gymnastics from Fergal, along with multiple of us trying to help him along the way. The Wriggler uses classic sprite sheets like Biders, so in most ways the process is a lot simpler, but it does require some hand animation instead of procedural animation. For these, Fergal gave the models to Jersey so he could bring them all to life with the iconic wriggles. As usual, the sound effects were done by Ian, music by Peter. Even though the intention was just to use the systems we already had, we uncovered a range of problems with the old animation system along the way. Naturally, inevitably, work was required on the leggy enemy Spidertron systems to get them working. For this case, thanks to a lot of upgrades by Strange Pan, we can now have these wonderful creatures and some Spidertron improvements too. Will we see? No. The Gleba family with near final textures before the evolution tier tints. The enemies are still subject to change. Some things are missing, like the final sound effects for the larger versions. We also have more combat balancing. No sound effects, and we're 2 months away. We have combat balancing to do, so the combat can be interesting in the right ways and not punishing. Right now, they are very fun to fight, especially if you're slightly underpowered, because it feels like your actions, movement, and target priority matter more than it would. They certainly feel very different from Biters. I mean, it's no longer... Having the enemy maintain a distance means it's no longer one-dimensional like a Biter. At the moment, there are 3 tiers of pentapods. The combat video only shows the green small tier, which are much weaker. The largest tier are especially devastating, but in most cases they can only trample your agricultural area, not your main processing area, so it's easy to recover. Was this written in part? Potentially. I actually have been suspecting this for quite a while, is that we're getting these like 2-3 months after the fact. I forget which one really gave it away, really leaned into it. I mean, even this summary sort of leans into it. Leans into the from a few weeks ago. That summary one sort of leans into the things being a lot more advanced than they're saying. So yeah, still the multiple tiers of thingies. But yeah, there you go. We finally got the stomp, stomp, stomp. Yeah, and they only showed the weakest version. I like the change in pollution into change in agricultural overstimulation. That's or pollinization. That's a really neat feature. You gotta love the wonky rails that you get from the new angles too. But yeah, the pollen pollution, the agricultural pollution is an interesting mechanic. Ah, you see the red dots now. Yeah, they're all on the water. Very sparsely spread out though. Hmm. There you go. Ain't that something? I'm still very interested to see if there's enemies, mechanical enemies on the what's it called? Are you bringing in robot ports? Yes. Crafting robot ports. No. Do you have gears? Yes. Do you need gears? No. You need red circuits because I wasn't paying attention. I'm probably gonna have to empty this train, aren't I? Or multiples of these trains. It's got 54k, 33k. 7.8. 29. Well, the trains are gonna be recycled anyway. So what do you reckon about that? Pentapods. Will we see any more enemies? Will we see Fungolia enemies? Electric enemies? That's the one that I expect to see mechanical enemies like hostile bots or something. Hostile claptraps. Oh, good, they can actually get out of there. This is a lot of red circuits. Ah, I put the train on the ground. There we go. Just brrr. And all the red circuits are gone. What's the time? We actually need to finish up soon. I mean, it feels like somewhat of a productive day. We demolish more circuits. I mean, probably the one advantage to finishing is that you don't get to see more blue circuit abuse. Or red circuit abuse. Come on, you're almost empty. It's so close. There we go. Cool. Alright, I think... yeah, we got rid of blue circuits. Science is building. Replacement for blue circuits is building. And just need to get some roboports and start expanding it. I need to do the proper layout for this. For 16 long trains, but that'll come. I also didn't consider that that'll be down there, twice as long. Oh well, it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. I can just pick it up and move it if needs be. I was going to replace all the outposts, but I decided that it'll be a per need basis, I think. If I find outposts that desperately need it, I'll do it. Worst case scenario, I can just cut this off and send it there. Up there. So the train comes in and loops around, and then another one can stack behind it, like here, and then push out this way. A spicy FFF review. Oh, you just missed out. I did I had a read through it. You just missed it. If you weren't here before. Oh, so hi, Soul Man. Yeah. It's just too much effort to convert all these things. You end up with a whole ton of materials in the pockets. But I've at least sorted out the blueprints. Yeah, I don't know when that's going to happen, because I don't have a lot of time this weekend. Yeah, deal with that too. Alright, those are all future me problems. Now me problems is ending. So I'm going to press the stop button.